This is my Chunkman account. With a mere chunk in his possession and a dream in his heart, he began his quest to conquer the vast expanse of old-school RuneScape's landmass. He started his journey from humble beginnings in Lumbridge, but with an arsenal of custom tasks, he has faced and overcome countless challenges. His journey has taken him through the trials of total level grinding, epic quests, mysterious clues, and perilous encounters with fearsome bosses, all in order to unlock new chunks of land. Now halfway through the journey, the road ahead may be paved with even greater challenges, but with each obstacle overcome, he moves closer to his goal. So welcome to the second half of Chunkman DDK. Last episode we unlocked a massive 5 chunks by completing the His Faithful Servants mini quest, looted our first Barrows chest for our first kill count there, completed 25 more medium clues for a total of 200 caskets opened now, and we got 10 more combat achievements done, which means 2 tasks completed. Our map expanded with the biggest unlock we've seen in a while with the Barrows chunk. Then we also got 2 pieces of the Bounty Hunter Island, and then 2 mostly mountainous chunks in the western part of Kandrin. Today we continue with some tasks we are now able to do after unlocking the juicy Barrows chunk. With the Barrows chunk now unlocked, we can finally finish the In Search of the Myrkey quest. We already started the quest by talking to Venstrom Klaus in the Cannabis pub, and he was looking for the resistance against the vampires in Mauritania to help them by giving them some weapons. The problem is that he didn't know how to find them, so he asked us to find them instead. The only lead he had was that the boatman at Morton had some affiliation with them, and that's where we had to stop the quest, as he together with his boat were both just outside of our chunks. But now with the Barrows chunk unlocked, let's have a chat with him to see if he can take us to the Myrkey. It took some convincing, but we finally got Cyrek on board to give us some information. He will send us on the way to the hideout, but he will not be coming himself, and we need to fix his boat first, but luckily we got some planks with us. We took the fixed boat a little north of Morton, and a little further on we can find the old bridge Cyrek was talking about. Use some planks to fix it, and then we find the hollow tree where we can find the hideout according to him, but we find Kurpile Fjord instead. Kurpile was hired as the guard for the entrance to the hideout, but after a little quiz about the Myrkey, he showed us the big doors just behind the hollow tree, which lead to the hideout. We're finally here, so let's see who we can give the weapons to. Veliav seems to be the leader, but he's busy with something, so he wants us to get acquainted with the rest of the resistance members. Harold here is the main fighter of the group, but with that belly I'm not sure if he's seen much battles lately. Radegad was a mercenary before he joined, so he's pretty much a fighter as well. Sunny got orphaned after the vampires killed her parents, and by living on the streets from a very young age, she's acquired some skills that are useful to the resistance. Paul Maffei is more of a brains kind of guy, as he advises Veliav on what to do. And then lastly, Ivan is a priest in training, and he needs to go to Drezel to finish his training, but the journey is a bit too dangerous at the time, so he's stuck with the group for now. After all of the introductions, Veliav finally accepts the weapons. We get a cutscene now, and this doesn't seem like this is anything good. The vampires have found the hideout, and it seems Venstrom Klaus tricked us into finding them, as he is a vampire himself. There goes the only woman in the group. And there goes Harold. He seems to be out of magic runes, so he summons a skeletal hellhound instead to finish the rest off. Guess he has a skill more than the rest of us. Time to protect the people we got into this mess, so let's kill that hellhound. Veliav doesn't seem to blame us for what happened, and mentioned we would be a great addition to their ranks. But first of all, we'd like some revenge on Venstrom Klaus, so let's see if he's still in the Cannabis pub. There's actually a shortcut to get there as these caves were close to the pub, but the person sitting at the pub sadly isn't Vanstrom anymore, but swearing that we will get our revenge one day. That's the end of the quest. We get 2 quest points, access to the hollows, and then a measly 600 XP in attack, defense, strength, hit points, and crafting. The story is definitely not over yet, but for now, this was In Search of the Mire Key completed. That's a quest completion, so that means we completed another task. So let's complete it on our sheet, and then let's see which is going to be the next chunk. We were finally able to finish the In Search of the Mire Key quest, so let's complete it here. That was our 97th quest completed, and we've reached the very nice and around 300 total chunks unlocked. Only 248 left. We are getting closer and closer. Last chunk we unlocked was a pathway to Arandar, and everything around it was already unlocked, so no extra chunks were added to our rollable chunks. Let's then see what is going to be next. Let's pick a chunk. Oh, more of Terranwin, the Tyrus camp. It is quite useful as we need it for a quest, and there's a shop I really want to get to as it sells halberds we need for some clue steps. For the rest, nothing that useful until we actually get to this chunk after rolling the chunks out of the fishing guild. After that massive failure in leading Vanstrom Klaus in the lair of the Mire Key, it's time to actually help them now. So let's talk to Veliav to see what we can do for him. As this hideout is now compromised, the vampires will surely come and try to kill the rest of the Mire Key. So we need to find them a new home, and Veliav mentions that to the south of Morton there is a town called Burgdraad that was abandoned a long time ago, but some refugees from Meyerditch have taken the place. So it seems like a good place to make a new hideout, and we need to scout it for him. Well, just getting here and people are already throwing some things at us, so let's talk to the guy and like stop him from throwing things at us. Lauren is dead set on not letting us in, as he thinks we are either after their blood because we are a vampire in disguise, or after their food, which they don't have enough. So let's give him some food, maybe that will appease him. Seems to have worked. Let's get in. That was quite easy. If we were tricking him, that would have been very bad for them. Now that we are in the city of Burgdraad, we need to talk to some people here to see what the situation is and where we can make a new hideout. So let's talk to Razvan first and see if he has any idea. Razvan mentions that this pub here, that might be a good location for the hideout, but in the cellar, for example, where we could make the hideout, there's rubble from a fallen wall. And there's probably a lot of rubble in the cellar as well. So we will have to clear that out first. He also mentioned that if we would come here, he expects us to help out with rebuilding the town and making sure their food reserves are pretty good, because he's snacking on a rat. Does not look appetizing at all, but first of all, let's clear out this rubble so we can make the hideout for Veliav. No more rubble on the first floor. Now in the cellar. After we mine it down, we can remove the rubble with some of the buckets we have with us, and then we can empty them outside. That's all the rubble cleared up, and we see a plaque as well now. Blessings on Eferite, our Icene queen from far off lands and her loving children of hallowed name. A lot of words and not many that we know of, so let's just continue talking to Razvan again after we have cleared all of the rubble. So it's perfectly fine now for the Mire Key to get in there, but we will hold us to the promise that we will help fix up the town a little bit. And Razvan mentions that we could have a chat with Orrel in the general store for some more work. As you can see, there's a bucket here because the roof is leaking. So we pretty much need to fix up the roof. And there we go. The hole has been fixed. And we should also make sure this wall is fixed as well. Just putting a bunch of planks on it and it's fixed. Not really a permanent solution, but oh well, as long as they are happy. There's also still a lot of other holes, but apparently we only need to fix this one here. Now, Aurel also mentioned something about stocking up the general store. He wants 3 tinder boxes, 10 mackerel and 10 bronze axes. I brought those with me, but I can see it's red over here, so I don't think you can put in noted items. Let's see. No. Nothing interesting happens. So we will have to bank for this particular part, so let's just do that. One fully stocked crate later. And we have finished the job here. Look at that. Nicely stocked shelves. On to the next job. Fixing up the bank, which will be very useful. Would have liked to have done this before this one, but oh well. The bank is also looking pretty bad. Let's fix up the bank boot first. There we go. And then of course the wall at the back as well, as we don't want other people to steal our money, of course. Still quite easy to actually get rid of this and steal our things, but it's something, I guess. Now we still need a banker, and Cornelius is in the bank, so might as well ask him for the job. That was actually pretty quick in convincing him to be a banker. And that's it. We now have a bank booth, which is amazing. Next up is the furnace here, which is broken. Should be an easy fix. And there we go. Furnace repaired. Now let's just put in some fuel and light it on fire. And now we got a cutscene with Van Klaus again, our nemesis, with someone called Gadrangs. They were talking about the tides, the blood tides that Gadrangs is collecting for the vampires, and he said that there isn't enough blood in the neighboring cities of Canifis and Morton, but Van notices smoke from the furnace we have just repaired, so that might have alerted them that there are also people there to collect tides from. We can find Gadrangs together with 2 vampire juvenites in the store of Aurel. And there seems to be a barrel with blood. Doesn't look all that well. Seems like they have already gotten a lot of tides from the people here. Let's see if we can actually save them from these vampires. Gadrangs doesn't want us poking our noses into their business. So it's time to fight them. Shouldn't be a difficult fight though, although we do need to use a silver sickle, which is quite bad, to actually be able to damage these vampires. One vampire down, enough that there is only mist. And there's Veliav, coming to help us. How nice of him. That's the 2 vampires down, and now let's just kill Gadrangs as well. He is not wanted here. He was human though, so we seem to have knocked him out. After promising Gadrangs that we will save his family from the vampires, he says the vampires fear silver dust and garlic, which is something we already knew, but also that a Harlander and red spider eggs potion is forbidden to make there, so they seem to be afraid of that as well. And not late after, Gadrangs passes away. And now that Veliav is here, let's talk to him. We should be close to setting up the Myarchy in the new hideout. Veliav goes back to the Hollows, to the original hideout, to pack everything up. So we need to go to him, to Canifis, and help him get here. So we need to meet up with him first, so let's go to Canifis. Veliav is all packed up. He, together with Volmafi here, and Radigat will go and populate the new hideout, but Ivan is still too young, and with his priest training, we should go with him to Drezel instead. Drezel will be able to make him into a better priest, and he will be helpful later on, after he has a few years of training. There's two routes we can take to get him to the temple. There's a very short one, but dangerous one, or a very long one, but we will not get attacked as much. But I'm just going to take the short route. And we do get stopped at the middle of the route. We have some vampire juveniles level 75 this time, so let's go and attack them. And there we go, at the end of a route, back at the temple. Ivan goes to Drezel, and we also need to go to Drezel as there was apparently a story about a guy that could damage vampires. So let's talk to Drezel to see what that story is all about. Drezel has given us a key for the library, as he doesn't seem to know anything about Evantis, but maybe we can find something in the books here. The book we found here talks about the history of Mauritania, which was Hollow Vale before it was called Mauritania, and it was ruled by an Icene queen who had to bow down to the new overlords, the vampires. With the vampires running over Mauritania, they went to Varrock, or were marching up to Varrock, and then 7 priests were the saviors, and they imbued the River Salve with powers great enough to make sure that the vampires cannot cross over it. One of those priests was Evandis, and Evandis was someone who could best some of the vampires with a special weapon. And in the book it also mentions where he is buried, and that is somewhere inside the Mortmire swamp. If we decipher the resting place of Evandis, according to this book, it's actually very close to the old hideout from the Mire. Just a little bit further on, there's a cave entrance here. If we use a hammer, we can actually remove these planks. We can get in, and there we should find the grave of Evandis, the resting place of an ancient warrior. And there seems to be a rod with a unique silver and mithril alloy, which is giving out a mixture of mortal and divine energies. So this seems to be the weapon that Evandis has used. We cannot just rob the grave, although we have done that enough in the past. Let's just make a mold instead. And now we can just make one for ourselves. One Silfthril rod made. When we inspect the rod, it seems to be very close to what we saw fused to the top of the coffin, but it lacks some divine energy. And what better way to give it some divine energy than to actually dip it into the River Salve with the source here, with this well we have seen just before we reached Drezel. And there we go, that's a rod of Evandis made. Now let's get back to Berg the Rod and tell Veliav the good news that we now actually have a weapon against the vampires. And with giving Veliav the Rod of Evandis, that is the end of the quest. We get 2 quest points, access to Berg the Rod, and all of the clue steps we have here. Access to temple tracking, which will also be useful for some supplies and just some general rewards in temple tracking. And then we also got 2000 experience in attack, defense, strength and crafting, which isn't a lot, but it's something. With that quest completion, that means we have completed another task on our spreadsheet. So let's complete it over there and pick another chunk. Another Mire quest completed. We have completed an 8 of the Mire, our 98 quests now. And that now brings us also up to 301 landmass chunks unlocked in total now. And then back to our map. Last chunk we unlocked was the Tyrus camp in Terranwin, which is very far away from the chunks we have. So I'd like to have something in the vicinity, but let's see what the chunk picker will give us. Let's pick a chunk. Oh, not in the vicinity at all. We get the middle part of the Daemon's Crater, the Bounty Hunter Island. Not what we were looking for. But that's now 4 chunks unlocked out of the 9. I guess it's something, but let's see what we can do otherwise, as this doesn't really help us. While we could continue the storyline of the Myarchy with the Darkness of Hallowvale quest, I'm actually going to go back to Barrows for a while, as we pretty much wanted to unlock the surrounding area of Burgderrot, as we could bank then over here if we really want to do multiple trips instead of having to wait for our minigame teleport to be up again. So in that regard, we are currently at 10 kill count for Barrows. Our next task would be to get to 50, and hopefully in those 40 KC we will get a few items, as the drop rate is somewhere between 1 in 16 and 1 in 18. So we should get about 2 to 3 drops, which could be very nice upgrades. So let's see which pieces we are going to get. And if Gotten goes down here, this will be our 15th chest we are looting, which means, according to the wiki, this is the drop rate to get 1 item. Let's see if we get 1. No, we don't. But I'm really excited to actually see what we are going to get. I'm not sure if every item is actually good for us, but I guess we will find out as soon as we get one. Chest number 25. And we finally get an item, Darok's Plate Legs. And we also get the Barrows Champion, which is the last combat task we have for Barrows. So that's why I actually was going to show this, but getting an item is also very good, of course. We're now at 76 combat tasks completed, and if you just look at the bosses, Barrows is now green. So all 7 combat achievements done, which was actually pretty easy. For the item we just got, Darok's Plate Legs, the Darok set is really important for certain combat achievements, so we already got the 1 piece, which is pretty good. And they are legs, which means that this is better than our Dragon Plate Legs, so that's actually an upgrade, a very good upgrade. So Dragon Plate Legs on, and then the Darok's Plate Legs is, damn, that's a straight big ass upgrade. 17 stab, 16 slash, 20 crush, 27 range defense bonus added. That's actually really good. But that's 25 KC now. Let's see what kind of items we can get before we hit the next milestone at 50 KC. Oh, there we got another item. Gutten's Chain Skirt, again a leg item, a leg slot. I'm not really sure if it's better than the Darok's Plate Legs we have, but it's Gutten's, so it's definitely already really good, because the set is something we really want. So the difference is, it's worse defense wise, but it's better for if we use magic. Okay, but that's already 2 very good pieces we've gotten from the chests, and that makes me pretty happy. That was chest number 30, so we are pretty much on drop rate now, and let's hope we can get 1 or 2 more until we hit 50. Hey, 40th chest, and we get an elite clue, which is also interesting because every time I get an elite clue I actually try it, because there is a chance that we can complete it, although it might be very low. If we complete 1, that's also a task completed. This is north of the volcano. Do we have this? Yes, we do. Okay. Let's try that, and then let's do the 10 Barrows chests we are left with. And we will have to drop it after 3 steps. That's still a long way from the minimum 5 steps, but let's drop it. Maybe we can get another one from Barrows. And this is already going to be chest number 50, and we do not get anything. Okay. A bit disappointing that we did not get a 3rd item, but I guess we could always be happy that we got 2 items that are really nice. But that was 50 Barrows chests completed. 50 Barrows chests means that we have completed our task. Let's go back to the spreadsheet, complete it over there, and then let's see what chunk we are going to get. our 40th boss task. Barrow's chests 50kc has now been completed. And that brings us up to 302 chunks in total. And you might have also seen that we have now 168 quests, and that's because we have a new quest on our list, and that is the Path of Clefairy. This is just one quest, nothing special there, no landmass that was added, nothing boss related or anything, just a simple quest. So that gives us a little bit more options on the quest front. And then back to our map. Like I mentioned, the new quest is here. So the important chunk is this one here next to the arena for the Castle Wars minigame. The map isn't updated yet, but it's over here. And we would need 1, 2 and 3 chunks to actually get there. And that would unlock a possibility to get a better staff than we are currently using. So that might be actually very useful if you go back to Tombs of a Mascot, that we have a powered staff, but it's still quite far away. We also need a couple of quests before we can do that. For example, we need the waterfall quest, so if you can unlock this chunk, that would be amazing. One other thing is that if you want to do more barrows, I would like to have the Heart Diary completed as well to get some more runes. And for that we still need the Dwarf Cannon, and that would also be both of these chunks. So the Baxtorian Falls chunk together with the Goldrock chunk. So if we would get these, as they are also a little bit solitary over here, that would be great to unlock. Together with, of course, the one below the Fishing Guild and the Monastery chunk. We are pretty much rolling everything around it, but not those chunks that are very, very useful. For the rest, the last chunk we got was the middle part of the Daemon's Crater. Nothing important. We now have the option to unlock another part of the Daemon's Crater, but let's just hope we don't get that in the short term, as those chunks are pretty much wasted. But let's see. Let's pick a chunk. Okay, starting off with the water chunk. It has been a little bit of time since we have gotten a water chunk. But a water chunk means a reroll because we are only interested in the landmass chunks. So let's go again. Let's pick a chunk. Oh boy. Well, guess that means we are one chunk away from unlocking the entirety of Mauritania. But this little smidgen of land next to the Icene Graveyard is pretty much... I don't even think we can actually get over there. I don't think you can actually walk here. Maybe 1 or 2 tiles, but I think these trees will stop you. So maybe in just very, very smidgen part of land we would be able to travel there, but there's nothing there. And that's where we're going to end the episode. Another 2 quests down, and we're just getting started with the Barrows chests. So I'm looking forward to seeing what other items we will get. But that will be for the next time. So have a great one, and see you then.